Hi, everyone. Welcome to our call today. My name is Nat. I use she, her pronouns, and I am joining today from Treaty 13 territory here in Toronto, Canada. Starting today with a land acknowledgement. Where I live is the site of the Dish with One Spoon Treaty, which was the original treaty that the English and French settlers were invited to join with the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee. They have not held up their end of the treaty, but it's something that I like to think about as I think about my responsibility to the land here. The treaty imagines that we, as diverse peoples and nations, can live together peacefully in the same territory if we respect each other's rights. We all eat out of the one dish, and it's our responsibility to ensure that dish is never empty, that as we pass the spoon from person to person and from nation to nation, that there's always something there for each of us to share. With that in mind, I'm going to pass it over to Vicki and we'll get started today.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm also coming to you from Treaty 13. I'm back home. I was away for the month of January, and I'm excited to be back here. And I have not staged my background, as you can see. Finn says I look busy, which is, I'm organized for like the first time, and I can't remember how long. I took a lot of time in December and didn't go away. And it was just so wonderful to reflect on last year, the big year of last year, and intentions for this year, and had a lot of consultation with tons of you. And as you can see in some of our newsletters and updates. And so today we're going to focus on just going through simply kind of what was in that newsletter of update for the year, focus, and a bit of like what's coming. But before we do that, I was wondering if we could try a little experiment. We've done a chatterfall before, if people remember this idea. And so let's just take 30 seconds in silence and prepare in the chat. Just, do you have a word for the year, or a couple of words for the year, or an intention? What it is you want to bring in this year. If you've thought about it in advance and you already have your words, great, just hold them for a sec. But if we could just do 30 seconds, and no pressure. If you don't want to do this, don't do it. But I'd love to, in about 30 seconds, ask you to push return/send, and we'll see what people's intentions are. I just want to have a kind of collective sense of what people are working on this year. So we'll just take about 20 seconds now. Oh, and people are already pushing send, so great. Feel free to send whenever you're ready. Look at all this. Nice. Connection, love, clear path, profitability, making myself a priority. Yes. Hope, growth and happiness, harmony, space to breathe, renewal, connection. Woo, alignment, unafraid, kindness. Thank you so much. Amazing. Well, that's so great. So for those who, I just want to just do a little bit of go back and then come forward. But those who haven't been here since the very beginning, 7 years ago, the way that we started was a pretty simple process of like, we were out there to find ventures who were creating the new world that we were excited about, and then trusting a collective, trusting the process of going in and voting with our intuition, see what happened, and then supporting how we could, sharing our gifts. And the model is working. We are here after 7 years. It's like, it just continues to blow my mind whenever I'm presenting this model to different places. We're like, this is just so interesting, but we could never do that in our organization because you have to trust. You have to trust other people. I'm like, isn't this the whole point of our journey here? That we actually can trust each other, and that's what we've shown is possible. But the block for transforming what you do, being trust, is like so crazy. Anyway, this is the place where we are in the world. I'm just like so thankful that we've been on this journey together of then adding things over the years as we saw what everyone wanted to do. And So it started very simply just with voting for ventures, helping if you could, looking at the asks and supporting, and that was it. And then as we started to witness all of the different amazing people in the community, people wanted to go, can I ask other people for help? Can we meet each other? And so we added online directories and communities. And then when COVID hit, we decided that we would do everything all at once. I think there's a show called that. And it just started to grow and grow and grow. And as we've all sort of witnessed, like by the end of last year, it was just like, do we need to be doing all of these things just because we can? And I think this has been like a big question mark. What is the core activity that we need to do here? What do we need to be focused on? And we had at one point early last year, 7 to 8 calls a week. I mean, just way too much. Anyway, so when I sit back and think, I feel like I caught the disease of like over-serving and just doing more, which we're really conditioned to. So the goal, after talking to a lot of you and seeing a lot of these amazing, beautiful words of intention for this year, we want to really go back to simplicity. Deep simplify what we're doing for our core activities. And we're going to do 1 call a month, which is a Rethinking series where we're going to hear from ventures who are getting a lot of traction around rethinking the area that they're in so that they can show what's working and we can learn from those. The first one that's coming up is Connie Stacy, who's going to talk about rethinking energy. And if you don't know anything about energy, no worries. When she started to talk to me about what she's doing, she's like, there's AC and there's DC and there's the grid. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know any of this stuff. You don't need to know this thing. What's happening is when you hear her talk about the impact she's having, the things that are broken in her industry and how she's rethinking them, it's like this common thread that we're hearing across all of our ventures and all of our own experiences. There's gonna be a lot for us to learn about how we can listen to what she's saying and then use that in our own lives. So I really hope you'll join us. The first one is on February 21st in the north, 22nd in the south. There should be an invite in your calendar to that. We hope you'll come. Bring a guest if you'd like to. The series is going to be really, really powerful. And the intention behind it is that we actually can really learn when we go a bit deeper with some of our ventures who are having traction. And then it's also a way for us to remember the collective experience, like we are creating the conditions together for things like this to be happening. The other piece that we're going to have this year is focus on in-person gatherings. This is where we started as a community 7 years ago. We were like the best non-events company out there. I kept saying, we're not an events company. And all we did was events. And Janiki's laughing because this is like, everyone used to joke with me about this. But getting back in person together, meeting each other, finding the others, supporting one another's dreams. This is a very, very core activity. So we're going to go back to in-person gatherings in regions where we have clusters of folks. We're going to continue with the self-organizing. There's lots of groups of people here finding each other and working together in affiliate groups, basically, to support one another. I'm going to go deeper into each of these on each slide. And then finally, we're going to stick with the core thing that we've been doing all along, which is supporting these ventures who are transforming the industries and the spaces that they're in. So these are the 4 core activities. Of course, if people want to organize other things, you can do that in self-organizing. Find your people in Slack on these calls through conversations that we're having when you meet up in person. So let's just start with the in-person stuff then. So first slide, please. I'm going on a tour with MJ, and we're going to Australia and New Zealand. And I'm going to Singapore along the way. For those who may not be aware, there's just a whole balance of power shift happening in the world. Everybody's trying to figure out how to deal with all of the stuff that's going on with China, new alliances. And so Canada's having a big, huge gathering in Singapore. So I'm going to go there on the way to Australia and New Zealand. We have a number of activators there, so we're going to have an event there. And then Nat is your key contact for this is like pretty fun to see where we are in the world, but this map has the real dots of where we have clusters of activators. And so regular events coming up, we have lots of them. going on. So we have like deep dive stuff going in Australia and New Zealand. And an event in Singapore, but in other regions, we're going to get into this regular cadence. If you want to host something, please feel free to do so. First one's coming up. We've got the Adelaide one going into the chat, where we're going to be in Auckland. If you know people in these places, please let them know. Rena and Amy are going to be hosting a Vancouver hike coming up shortly. Lisa Burchardt is hosting something in Toronto. I know they're doing something in London later this week. So lots of those happening. And then in May, we're going to do a little bit of a US tour with PNC and go around to a number of different cities. So we'll share more of that when it's coming. And then we're going to be doing in-person retreats for activators as a little pilot in June in Prince Edward Island in Canada. So we're going to be sending out those emails next week. It's kind of first come, first serve. We can fit 20 people in each of these. And so really looking forward to doing that. If you have questions, you can throw them in the chat while I'm talking, but we'll also do Q&A right after. So in person gatherings, hosting each other, getting to know each other now that we can do it. That's going to be one of the main focuses. If you could go to the next slide. We have a lot of self-organizing going on that you will have known about if you've been around for a little bit. With the Queer Collective, we have this amazing Ask Give circle that meets every month. They start by celebrating whatever shares are needed within that group that of great things that are going on. And then they literally go through Slack and answer all the asks and make sure that people are getting what they need by making connections. If you want to be part of this, please join in and get a link in the chat from Nat of how to do that. And then we piloted these small groups in the fall, and lots of people really liked them. There were 5 to 8 people in each. Some people did it as an accountability thing. Others did it around learning journeys. If you want to set up a small group around a specific theme, let us know, and we can help you to connect with others. But this is really resonated for some people, not for others. But this is an opportunity here. Obviously, this community is full of all kinds of generous souls. If you want to be connecting with them around specific themes, please feel free to do so. So self-organizing, you have permission. There's no need for us to do anything around this. Just let us know and we'll make the connections for you. Next up is I'd love to share, we've done a ton of learning in the past. We had about 60 learning sessions last year. And so Danielle is a genius and created this beautiful summaries, and I'll let her talk to you about the YouTube channel that she's set up and some of these gifts of grounding. Danielle.
Hi, everyone. So we have 2 things to support you and your New Year intentions. The first is our Gifts of Grounding campaign. So one thing that we've done is we've gone through all of our content and picked a couple of grounding practices from some of our community members. We have MJ Ryan, our venture development guide, Echo Alec, who happens to be a venture semi-finalist, and Lisa Burchardt, an activator who happens to be on this call. And so they're going to be sharing some gifts of grounding practices in an email series that you can sign up to. The link is grounding.coralus.world. We also have a mindset track set of playlists that you can watch on our YouTube channel. The link is there in the blue bubble. Around this time last year, we offered a mindset track. It was a 6-session learning track that you could sign up for with MJ. And we've clipped all of the different track sessions that have been put on in the last year so that you can revisit and replay all of them into short little playlists. I think each one is about up to 15 minutes each. So really, really condensed and able for you to replay at your leisure.
Thanks, Danielle. I also want to just remind people that we have podcasts. If you're wanting to go deeper and hear more stories about who's in the community, who's been funded in the past, if you are not aware, and there's some activators interviewing in those as well that started last year. So there's a lot of podcasts in there. So please go have a look. One of the things is because we were so prolific as a community over the last few years, there is a lot of content out there. So now our goal is to kind of curate this into more digestible buckets so that you can go and have fun and look at them and learn. Great. Next thing up is, I mentioned the Rethinking series. First one up is going to be Connie. After that, Chenny's going to come and join us. And then we have an Australian venture after that, if you could go to the next slide. Oh, okay. Back one more. There we go. Rethinking energy. Sticky. So there's the rethinking slide. Great. Thank you very much. So the format for these are going to be 30 minutes. And it's going to be a conversation, and then we're going to open up Q&A, so you can go as deep as you want, ask clarifying questions, etc. And then for those who would like to stay and go deeper after that, we're going to have a conversation after the conversation. And so this is, in lieu of trying to get like when we were doing those 7 or 8 calls a week, we were doing a deep dive with every single venture as soon as they arrived in this community. And what we've learned is that we really need to create some space for people to get onboarded, to get into their business. Some people are ready to tell the stories right away and others aren't. So we're going to focus on just 10 this year, 10 deep stories. Okay, and next up, let's just talk about ventures. So we just voted in North America and in the UK, and the voting rates were pretty good this year. So about 40% of people voted. There were so many connections made and so many relationships supported. I don't know, are we having problems with our slides? Yeah.
We are, but they'll be back in 1 second.
Okay, cool. So what happened with voting? So we had about 40% voting participation, 146 comments to ventures. I mean, this is one of their favorite things. When you apply to things in the world, you just don't get these kinds of comments, but 146 comments just through that process, and 1,246 connections, which is just incredible. So thank you for participating in the voting, for selecting the ventures that you care about, and especially thank you for making connections for people to walk away from this kind of a process and to not be selected, but to actually get that goodness from the community of support is just so meaningful. So thank you very much for that. There will be slides coming up, but I'm going to jump right now into the numbers from last year. So in case you missed us at the end of the last year, we have about $14 million circulating in this community. About $12 million is circulating in our regular fund, about almost 4 in the US, $1 million in New Zealand, 500K in the UK, early days there. Australia is almost getting to $1 million, and Canada is about $6 million. So all that money is flowing through. One of the things that we haven't talked about much is the perpetual fund. So when there is excess capital in different markets after we've hit the 5 years and we keep having strong activator numbers, sometimes we have more capital than we can deploy right away. And so we've started to do perpetual fund loans. So we have a committee of activators who are helping to do this. And we've had a bit of rotation. They've been doing this for a couple of years now, but we have 22 different loans that have gone out to ventures. Average loan is about $100,000. This is like cash flow loans, essentially, at a very, very low interest rate. We're like 2 or 3%. And this money is a short term. It's about 12 months max. And if you, for example, have a purchase order and it's tough with the cash flow, you can apply and get support from the perpetual fund. So it's really, really amazing. This is like the result of having these 5-year loans that just keep coming back. So in case it's not clear to a lot of people, about 2/3 of the money that's coming in each year in Canada, in the US, is coming from loan paybacks, previous loans that are done. And then new activators account for about 1/3 of the money in the fund. So it's just amazing after 5 years to see this money rolling through. Like you can have a big dive down in the number of activators and still be able to fund 5 to 10 in a year, depending on what the size of the fund is. So the perpetual fund is happening. So thank you very much for that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that this year. But good news is repayment rates are great. We have venture announcements coming up across the 3 countries, and we have a big surprise coming up on the 6th. We're going to do everything together. Canada, the US, and the UK. And then we have a surprise in that based on some other funding that we've received. So we're really excited to share that with you. So this year, again, just to summarize, in-person gatherings, self-organize to your heart's content, please. Continue to do what we're working on with the ventures, and then the Rethinking series. So I'll pause, and if anyone has any questions or comments, oh, 9 minutes left. I thought I might have a bit more, but there we go. If you have any questions, please put up your hand or jump off mute or put in the chat. Be happy to answer anything. Who is eligible for the loans? Only ventures or semifinalists? Yeah, thanks, Lisa, for the question. This is, again, currently it's just existing ventures who have already been in the system that we know that we have a process of understanding for. We haven't done it with semifinalists. Any questions, anybody? It was really nice to see all your intentions. Thanks very much for sharing. The process for becoming an activator is a credit card. That's it. That's all you need. Come on and join us. Just go to the website. It's $92 a month, and you can sign up. You get invited to these calls. You get to be part of the process. Can I say more about in-person gatherings? Sure. So they're going on in different places, organized by different folks. I don't know, is Carly here? Carly's doing a walk in Vancouver pretty much every month, and people join up for that. Janicki gathered a bunch of people in Montreal recently, and they went to an event that was organized by one of our activators. The event went to the event. We have people just coffee chats regularly happening. It depends on what's going on in each region. Adina was hosting something in LA. So it's just a hands up, gather people together. If there's a local venture, bring them in as well, so you can hear stories from them. But it's a way of getting to know one another and supporting each other. We all have so many gifts to give, and getting together is a chance to just see what's in the community and how you can organize to support one another. Vancouver, yeah, the gatherings that is in the chat right there. So fast, Nat. Thank you very much. How can I set up a group meet in my city? Please just email Nat and she will get you a list of folks who are close to you. And we're going to have a tool to help everyone do this shortly, I hope, as well, where you'll be able to see who's within a sort of like 10-20 mile radius of you. So that'll help with it. Lisa,
I'm always happy to help you get them set up. And if there's something that you are already planning on hosting, you can add it yourself as well to the community teal print by using a link that I'm about to put in the chat as soon as I stop speaking to see it there. We'll put all of the upcoming events on the teal print so that when you go to the upcoming events page, you'll be able to see everything there. And if you are interested in starting a small group or looking for folks in your field, thank you, Finn, for sharing that link while I'm talking. Feel free to send me a quick note, and I'm happy to help you start finding people. One of the best ways to find folks who are in your industry or in your area of expertise to connect with is on the Slack channel. So you can head into the Ask General channel, put out a request to say, hey, is anybody interested in talking about ed tech, for example? Susie, I'll use your example, and see who responds there. This has been one of the ways that a lot of people have started to organize. And then schedule your first meetup, add it to the teal print. The link will be there for others to find as well.
Thanks, Nat. So teal print to find out what the latest ones are. And again, Ask General. If Susie asked about an ed tech gathering, you could post that in the Ask General. And when that group comes in, and others can just go, oh, I'd love to do that, and self-identify. Lisa, hi.
Hi. First, I just wanted to say I'm really happy to see that you have the core still in the middle this year. There's been so many activities that I'm really happy to see that supporting the ventures is remaining at the core. And so 2 questions related to that. I know in past years, maybe last year, each selected venture kind of had a little group around it, a group of activators or something that could be their cheerleaders or their connectors. That's my first question. Are you doing that this year? And the second question is, for semifinalists, if they're not chosen, how can they, what are they sort of eligible for, or how can they continue to be involved?
So semifinalists are basically treated as activators in the community. So they get access to everything. They're invited to everything. So that's a number one on that. And what was the first question? Sorry, I always forget the double barrels.
Sorry.
Oh.
About kind of a small group to support each venture.
Yeah, so we are going to, we have this whole onboarding process now when you're first selected, where we go a little bit deeper. We go into the financials to see how people are doing and get clearer on strategy. And we're starting, because we have more and more ventures now, we're starting to group people in different focus areas, B2B, different e-commerce, et cetera. So we're probably going to get to that, but we have a bit more segmentation to do, and then we'll probably bring it forth as an ask. Instead of individually, we're trying to do things, the whole message from the new name is individual to collective. How do we do things a bit more efficiently instead of everything one by one? And so Lauren has been doing quite a bit of work in these segmentation areas around strategy that we want to invite activators into in the areas that they're most interested in. Number one. Number two, I would say though, if you're particularly excited about ventures that have been selected or that are in the community, please feel free to reach out and support them in any way that they're thrilled to get connected to. If you have any issues with that, please just let us know and we're happy to facilitate. But we're trying to do things a bit more clustered instead of one-on-one. It's a short answer.
I just wanted to jump in really quickly on the gathering side of things, and that there really isn't like one right way of doing it. And so if you feel called to just like, I want to host a dinner for 6 folks and make, you know, some new relationships, you don't have to feel like this is something you now have to do once a month regularly and hold that, but that you can also just kind of have these one-off ways of connecting with folks. And reminder that there's also LinkedIn too. Slack is definitely like wonderful way to be able to find and connect and ask folks if they're keen. And you can also proactively go on Slack and see who's in your community as well, see what they're into, and invite them personally.
If we didn't answer your questions today, please ping us. If there's more clarification you want, very happy to. I know we're coming up to the last minute here, so thank you very much for joining us today. Key message here, Nat is your person. Welcome to Nat's inbox. If you're looking for figuring out how to organize, we'll continue to sort of share, go to Slack. Here's the Notion page in every newsletter. And for those who maybe are just scanning the newsletters, there's a lot of stuff in there. So there's amazing venture information every week. There's going to be a big focus around what's coming up in your area, podcast listings. So we'll keep all the stuff is in there every 2 weeks. And very, very grateful that you're all here. Thank you. I'm looking at all the faces. That it's good to see you again. Happy New Year. Hi, Adina. Looking forward to a quieter, hopefully, year, but a more impactful understanding of the collective impact that we're having through these activities, and really looking forward to seeing most of you in person this year as well. I hope that happens. Thanks very much for being here. Hope you have a good rest of your day.